Panic over train derailment in the Abuja-Kaduna rail track. We'll be getting some insight on what really happened earlier today. And there's been a lot of debate and controversies, reactions to the zoning arrangement as announced by the PDP NEC meeting. Hello everyone, welcome to the program. This is Politics Today live on Channels Television. I am Sean Wakimale here in Abuja. Let's tell you that there's been some kind of reprimand, if you may call it that way, in court today. The trial of Muhammad Usman, as also known as Khalid al-Banawi, leader of the Boko Haram splinter group Ansar, who once again suffered a setback in Abuja as defense lawyers failed to appear in court. Justice Emeka Nwite of the Federal High Court openly criticized the absence of both Usman and his counsel, describing it as a deliberate attempt to stall a case that has dragged for 13 years. For other defendants, Mohammed Bashir Saleh, Umar Mohammed Bello, Mohammed Salisu and Yakubu Nuhu are standing trial alongside Usman for terrorism-related charges, including kidnappings, killings, and links to Al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb. Prosecutors expressed frustration that despite promises to send a representative, the lead defense lawyer failed to show up, prompting the judge to issue a final warning and adjourn the case to September the 5th and 12th. The Department of State Services, the DSS, which has long pushed for speedy resolution of terrorism cases, insists that these delayed trials must be concluded to restore citizens' faith in the justice system and deter future acts of terror for victims, families, and communities scarred by Ansar's alleged violence. The renewed push to accelerate hearings represents not just a legal battle, but a critical step towards justice and closure.
Let me say that the matter is about 13 years now. But with the coming in of the new regime at the DSS area now, there is a very proactive move to ensure that these matters are disposed of one way or the other. And you can see that we are sitting on vacation now. This is the second time the court is sitting on vacation. Easter vacation, we were here. This vacation, we are here. The reason being that one way or the other, these terrorist matters must be determined, and if they are convicted, it becomes a deterrent to others that, look, you cannot just sit down and then matters drag up and no end product. So that's why the Honorable Chief Judge allowed this matter to continue last Easter vacation and this long vacation. That's why we are here.
So how prepared is the prosecution?
And we're very prepared. We're very prepared. That's why, like I said, we are eager to finish. We have our witnesses, we have our evidence. So, and it's the best interest of both them, the society, and the prosecution to finish this matter expeditiously.
All right, that's about the Al-Banawi case and how DSS is pushing to let this cross the line. But we have so much stories for you tonight, and the conversations are very critical. So stick around with me, everyone. First, let's serve you with some of your political roundup stories.
The National Security Advisor, NSA, Mr. Nuhu Badu, has handed over 128 kidnapped victims to their families. The victims, comprising males, females, and children, were rescued by security forces in 2 different operations in Karanamuda in Zamfara State. The NSA, while commending security forces for the rescue operations, assures that the perpetrators will be hunted and brought to justice. The 2023 All Progressives Congress APC candidates for the local government council elections in Edo State have called on the state working committee of the party to give them due consideration ahead of the next year's poll. Addressing the leadership of the APC in Edo State at the party secretariat in Benin City, the Edo State capital, the 2023 Owan West local government candidate Enahoro Aikpabo said they remain loyal to the party in spite of their defeat at the elections. Meanwhile, the Anambra State House of Assembly has suspended the member representing Ayamelum constituency, Honorable Bernard Udemezue, for 3 months without pay for alleged unparliamentary conduct and warns that he should not be seen within the assembly vicinity for the period of the suspension. The suspension decision follows the consideration of a report presented by the House Committee on Rules, Business, Ethics and Privileges, chaired by the Majority Leader and member representing Ekwusigo constituency, Mr. Ikenna Ofodeme. The Benue State House of Assembly has suspended former Speaker Ondona Dajo for 3 months for an alleged attempt to impeach Governor Aysen Alia. The suspension of Dajo followed the motion moved by the lawmaker representing Kian State constituency, Tena Chimawa, and seconded by James Umoru from Apa State constituency. Shimawa, who moved the motion, was one of those suspended last week Friday by Dajo before his resignation as Speaker. Lastly, Governor Abu-Kefas of Taraba State is insisting that the People's Democratic Party (PDP) will remain a party to beat in the state as long as stakeholders in the state tolerate each other and give him the needed support to excel. The Special Advisor to the Governor on Political Matters, Professor Josiah Kende, stated these when he represented the Governor at an event to strengthen the party structure ahead of the 2027 general elections.
Let's tell you what happened earlier today. A passenger train traveling from Abuja to Kaduna derailed this morning, triggering panic amongst passengers and their loved ones. It was gathered that the incident occurred along the Kaduna corridor shortly after the train departed around 11 a.m. en route to Kaduna. A passenger on board the train described the scene as chaotic, with people scrambling to safety in fear and confusion. It remained unclear what caused the derailment, there being no official confirmation on injuries and casualties. However, the Nigerian Railway Corporation, NRC, has since suspended train operations on that route till further notice. The Managing Director, Mr. Kawade Okpaifa, announced this while briefing journalists in Abuja hours after the incident. Mr. Okpaifa says some technical staff of the corporation, alongside the Nigeria Safety Investigation Bureau and all the relevant agencies, are currently on the ground at the train derailment site carrying out an investigation. It dismisses claims that the trains are not in good condition and says the refund of the ticket fees has been initiated for all passengers on board. The NRC bus also received some passengers on board the train at the Sham Station, Idu train station in Abuja. According to Okpaifa, 6 passengers sustained minor injuries and have since been treated. He, however, says the exact number of passengers on board has not been ascertained yet. Meanwhile, the NSIB has commenced a probe into the incident. The Director of Public Affairs and Family Assistant at the NSIB, Bimbo Oladeji, says preliminary reports indicate that 6 passengers sustained injuries with no fatalities recorded. The Bureau has also dispatched a GO team to the site to collect evidence, liaise with the stakeholders, and investigate the circumstances surrounding the incident. So tonight, let's begin our conversation first and foremost about the issue of insecurity. And this time around, it does look at things moving towards the north central region, especially issues of banditry. In Kwara State, once seen as one of Nigeria's safer regions, is now grappling with a disturbing rise in violent crimes ranging from kidnappings to targeted killings. Reports by SBM Intelligence and the ICIR reveal that Fulani militant groups have steadily expanded their activities in the state since 2020, replicating the violent pattern seen in neighboring north central states. From coordinated abductions of wedding guests and pastors to deadly clashes between Fulani and Nupe youths, the toll on local communities has been devastating, with over 60 residents reportedly killed within 2 years. Security experts warn that unchecked, these groups risk entrenching themselves in ungoverned spaces, especially given Kwara's porous borders with Niger, Kogi, Oyo, and even the Republic of Benin. Amidst these threats, the Igbomina Professional Association is sounding an alarm over this escalating insecurity in Kwara South. While acknowledging Governor Abdurrahman Abdurrazak's effort, the group insists that the government interventions, which is described as piecemeal, are not enough, and are calling for a more coordinated, community-driven response that integrates vigilante groups with the police to empower traditional rulers in intelligence gathering and deploy modern tools like drones and community alert applications. Let's speak with one of the Kwara South community leaders. Mr. Anu Ibiwoye is live for us in our studio here. Thank you so much indeed for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Sean.
I appreciate
good
your time
evening,
tonight.
And good evening, viewers.
It does look like Kwara South people in Kwara State are worried, and there seems to be some panic. This is not for it's being an age-long crisis. Those people who they call Bororo, and now in the local parlance in the southern part of Kwara, and it does look like the relationship had now gone sour. And those they describe, speaking with some indigents, who say some of these people who are aliens, some of them whom they know, some of them are now taking advantage, taking over the communities, killing their leaders, chasing out pastors, attacking churches, taking out traditional rulers. In fact, there is a traditional ruler we understand has not been to his community for over 6 months. What is going on in Kwara?
Let me start by saying that this situation we're in didn't just start today. There has been a build-up. Like you rightly identified, some time ago, there was credible information available to the police and to the DSS to say that the bandits that were dislodged from Zamfara were beginning to gather around Bani in Kwara North. Nothing was done about that. And all of these things have continued to build until we now find ourselves in the kind of situation that we have. Kwara has been relatively known to be a state of harmony where different people have lived together in peace and harmony. But what we are seeing today is something that has been unprecedented. Now, you have cases of banditry unchecked. You have kidnapping going on almost every day. Now, these bandits have become so emboldened that they are even attacking our communities almost on a daily basis. Now, the first thing we want to ask ourselves, what is insecurity? My understanding of insecurity is a state of being, open to danger, threats, and lack of protection. And then the question is that, whose responsibility is this? Government has primary responsibility for the security of its citizens, the protection of the citizens, their lives and their properties. And even though security is a collective responsibility, but it is government's primary responsibility to do that. Now, what we expect to have is that the government, both at the federal level, the state level, and the local government level, in addition to the security agencies of government, are supposed to have coordinated responses to prevent these incidences of, armed banditry, kidnapping, and wanton destructions of our communities. But they are not doing that. What we see them doing is that they are reactionary after all of these things have happened. But in Kwara, we particularly have a very, very grave situation because government is not even responding to all of what has been happening.
Okay, so let's take you one after the other. So there were initial, some years back, reports from the northern region,
yes,
northern part of Kwara. But things have escalated that Kwara South is now badly affected.
Yes.
How bad is the situation in Kwara South? Because the government of the day is saying it's making effort, is making cooperation, and is asking for the help of the federal government in fighting some. They say, according to the Kwara State government, they are in fact on top of the situation. And there are those who are saying that if some of you who are in opposition, there are screaming about the insecurity, but the government is on top of the situation. Kwara is called the state of harmony. That is the appellation. That's the nickname of Kwara State. But the way and manner you are describing things is as though Kwara is now under siege.
That's the right word. Kwara is under siege. From Kwara North to Kwara South, even some parts of Kwara Central, there is no senatorial district that has not been affected.
Can you give us an example? The report from SBM and ICRR is about 60 people killed in the last 2 years. And when you say that Kwara is under siege, the question will be, compared to state like Niger, compared to state like Benue, Nasarawa, these are not central state. What is the state of escalation? How bad are things?
Well, things are quite bad for a state that has been known for relatively peace. Let me run you through some of what has happened in some of our communities. In Ifelodun local government, which is probably the worst hit local government in Kwara South today, all the local governments have been affected in one way or the other, but Ifelodun seems to be the theater of war, and that's where the bandits are having a free reign. Now, we have communities like Babanla, Shagbe, Oreke, Gomo Alheri, Okeode. All of these communities have almost a weekly attack. The governor, for the first time, paid a visit to Babanla community yesterday. Of course, those communities are already deserted, but the governor went there yesterday, and he went to visit he went to see the traditional ruler to have a meeting with him. Now, the details of the meeting is not known, but we didn't see or hear that the governor visited any of the victims, either in their homes or at the hospital. Neither did we hear that the governor also made any arrangements, to make monies available for the treatment and all of that. But what are we saying? We haven't even seen any empathy on the part of the government to these victims that happen. But let me take you...
And you're talking as though you're a PDP member, right?
No,
now.
You see, insecurity does not know party political affiliations.
Yes, that's what the that's what the APC in Kwara State is saying. That is the opposition that is behind all of it, and it's because elections are coming.
No, you see, Sheon, if you listen to what goes on in the news, people in APC have been attacked. People in PDP have been attacked. Insecurity does not know party affiliation. It doesn't know religion. They have killed Christians, they have killed Muslims, they have killed people in APC, they have killed people in PDP, they have killed people who are not even political party members. But let me run you through what has been going on in some of our communities. Now, in Okeode, for instance, a group of people were traveling and they had a problem with their vehicles. While they were trying to attend to that, bandits came from nowhere, swooped on them. They killed 2 policemen, they killed a policeman, and killed 2 other people and abducted 1 person in Okeode. In Babanla, almost on a daily basis. The governor was in Babanla yesterday. Immediately he left Babanla, before he even got to Ilorin, the bandits are struck again. And they kidnapped 3.
Who are these bandits?
Now,
have they, as the community leaders or community people, have they been able to identify who these bandits are?
From what we hear, from the experiences of those who have been kidnapped, what we hear is that these people are Fulani people. That's what we hear.
What was the mode of identification of these people?
Those who have been kidnapped, they spend time with them. They hear the kind of languages, they hear the language they speak. They can identify them by their facial looks. In some cases, some of these people are not even Nigerians. But they have entered our community and they're operating. Now, on a particular day, bandits numbering close to 100 attacked Babanla on motorcycles, shooting sporadically into the air. They kidnapped some people, they kidnapped the monarch's wife, and they shot, the vigilante people, and even burnt their vehicles and burnt some of them alive. Now, in this community, we haven't seen any response on behalf of the government. The governor didn't visit. They are not helping the people in terms of logistics, relief. If you go, the commissioner of police and the state director of DSS visited a community, Bankole. They didn't find a single soul in that community. And you see, because all of our communities in Kwara South are closely knit, when there's an attack in one community, the spiral effect goes to other communities. Now, almost 16 communities in Ifelodun are almost empty. All of the people have moved over to Ilorin because their safety is no longer guaranteed. The markets are closed, farms have been abandoned, and all of these things have they have social and economic consequences for development. We are not producing anything anymore. The markets are closed, and so people are not earning money to even stay alive.
But why does it look like leaders like you in these communities have kept quiet over these years? To the extent that about 16 communities, like you say, are now totally deserted. What effort has been made, if you say government is not doing anything, to coordinatedly come together and protect the people?
Okay. In your introduction, you mentioned about the Igbomina people complaining and saying that there needs to be concerted government efforts. We have also raised our voices to complain about these things. Now, what have we done? There are people who have responded. We have given money. Every time somebody is kidnapped, the state government doesn't respond. It is the communities and good-spirited individuals that raise the money to get these people, pay the ransom to the kidnappers, and get these people released. We are paying hospital bills. Now, let me give you an instance. When a community was attacked in Kwara North, Lile, Alaji Potun and his son were killed in broad daylight, the PDP raised a high-powered delegation to go and commiserate with them, to empathize with them. And not only did they go to empathize, they went with money, they went with logistics to help the people in that community. The former president of the 8th Senate, Dr. Bukola Saraki, has also raised different delegations to different parts in Kwara North and in Kwara South. He sent money, he sent relief. Now, we know in Kwara South there are groups that have also, raising money to support the local vigilante. They are giving them resources for them to be able to get ammunition to be able to defend these communities. They are raising money, bought motorcycles, bought patrol vehicles. They are giving them monies for fuel. That's what we can do as individuals. The primary responsibility for securing is government. Now, in Kwara today, I have been in government in Kwara. I was a special advisor. I served in the government in Kwara. While we were in government, there were regular security meetings where the state governor, as the chief security officer, coordinates other security agencies to deal with some of these issues and take preemptive steps before these things come up.
But look, are these things that you were talking about, could they be related to what we see escalating? Because it's not only Kwara that is complaining. Several other states are equally complaining. Katsina is complaining. Zamfara has its own share of some of these situations. States are also part of Kogi, part of Niger. States are experiencing part of Niger. And these are border states to Kwara. Kwara is also bordered by Benin Republic on this other side of the state. So could these be linked to some of maybe some of these bandits that are being chased by the security agencies are the ones now moving into Kwara?
Yes, I believe so. Kwara has enjoyed relative peace in spite of all that has been going on.
That's why it's been called state of harmony since inception.
Yes. And even while all of these things were going on in Benue, in Kogi, in Niger, Kwara was relatively peaceful. Now, when they began to disarm and dislodge these people, one would expect that a government like Kwara State government will take proactive steps to ensure that all of this spillover doesn't come and get rooted in Kwara. And those are the kind of things that we're talking about.
So you're basically blaming the Kwara State government for not doing enough.
They haven't done enough. That's what we're saying. They have not done enough. And even some of their responses...
What would you say the government should have done better in this case?
Okay, let me give you an instance.
Because you said the governor visited Babanla yesterday. So if he did, what else would you have expected him to do?
Now, let me give you an example. You see, some of the responses that the state government has made, they are not appropriate. And I'll give you a particular instance. Now, in trying to deal with the security challenges we have in Kwara South, for instance, the state government bought motorcycles, got arms and ammunition, and then contracted a group called Mieti Allah to handle security in Kwara South. First of all, Mieti Allah is a socio-cultural organization set up to monitor, to follow the interest, to safeguard the interest of cattle breeders in Nigeria. They are not a security outfit. Now, what I would have expected, and now the government has contracted those people to oversee the security in Kwara State. What I would have expected is that the governor will look through the local governments, because the local governments are the chief, local government chairmen are the chief security officers in their respective local governments. We have vigilante groups that step up to the occasion. These people are ill-equipped. They are not funded. Now, what would have expected is that what government would have done would have been to strengthen these local vigilante groups through the local governments. The local governments are now autonomous. They get their own subventions. The local government chairmen are the chief security officers in their respective local governments. One would have expected that they would strengthen these vigilante groups in all of their local governments, but they haven't done that. In Ifelodun particularly, that is worst hit, these vigilante people have been marked. They've killed the head hunters of about 2 or 3 communities. And all of these people came together. They tried to go to see the local government chairman on invitation. And they got there and he didn't even come. He didn't even attend to them. There is no assurances from government at any level to the people that we are doing this, we are working on this, this is what we are doing, this is our plan. Nothing of such has happened. And so it's not only opposition that is complaining, everybody is complaining.
So what would you say would be a proactive action that the government should do? Because we need to be talking about how to protect and guarantee the safety of the citizens of the state.
Well, at the federal level and at the state level, the government needs to strengthen the legislation. They need to strengthen legislation that supports, the security architecture of Nigeria. We need to step up our intelligence gathering mechanism. And it's not as if we don't get this information, because even those of us who are not security people, we get information that this is happening. There's a build-up here, there's a build-up here. Some time ago, some vehicles coming from Benue to Kwara were intercepted based on information, and they found the catch of arms inside those vehicles. That's acting on credible information.
All right.
Government is not doing enough. Okay. We need to strengthen legislation. Government needs to have the willpower to do the right thing, to follow through all of these things. If you see, since the president came on, and they have stepped up the onslaught against the bandits in the northeast, you can see that those incidences are coming down. Now, these people are moving from where they are to other locations like Kwara, and they are complicating the lives. Most of the villages in Kwara have been devastated.
All right. Anu Biwaye, Kwara community leader, thank you so much indeed for coming on the program. And I wish Kwara a peace and harmony again that is always experienced. Thank you so much indeed for coming.
Thank you.
We'll take a break, everyone. But when we return, the zoning arrangement in the PDP is causing a lot of debate. And those who are reacting to this drama will be getting reaction from the minority leader in the Senate, Senator Abba Moro, will be joining us next on the program. Join us again, everyone. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us on the program. Let's turn our attention to a major decision made by the neck of the People's Democratic Party yesterday. And since that announcement was made, it was a significant decision to the future of the party ahead of the next election, 2027. A lot of the party members in and out who are speaking on this. Tonight I'm being joined by one of the leaders of the party who made that decision, the leader of the party and the minority members in the Senate, the Senate minority leader, Senator Abba Moro, is live for us on the program tonight. Thanks so much, Senator, for joining us tonight.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be with you.
Wow. It was shocking that you made that decision at NEC yesterday. Zoning to the south. That was audacious. How did you arrive at that?
Well, to people who have been somewhat pessimistic about the resilience of the PDP. It could be shocking, but Cheung, you recall that I had told you here that a lot of activities have been put in place by the PDP towards resolving some of the conflicts within the party, and that out of the ashes of the storm, we are going to bounce back. And that is part of the things that you saw yesterday, the 102 NEC meeting of the party. And again, you recall I told you that in 2022-23, the PDP, in an attempt to wrest power from the APC, had actually thrown open the zoning arrangement of the party, and that we were going to put our best foot forward. But eventually, like it happened, that decision backfired, because eventually people resisted the intention to get a northern candidate to succeed the northern president and all that. And so it backfired, and PDP, for part of that reason, lost the election. And so this time around, we've been reconciling, reviewing strategies, reviewing what happened and the rest of them. And majority of us, virtually all of us, agreed that a mistake was made in 2023, fielding a northern candidate. And this time around, in the spirit of unity, in the spirit of fairness and justice, PDP leaders decided to swallow their saliva and say, look, let's take this thing to the south, where majority of the people expected that it would have been.
So fielding Atiku was an error for the PDP in 2023?
Well, as a result of the elections turned out, and because Nigerian people spoke, definitely it was an error.
And the party has regretted it?
Of course. To lose a very monumental election in that disastrous manner, as it were, certainly is something for regrets.
But tell me, Senator, quickly, before I forget, Peter Obi, have you been able to speak with him as a party? Is he coming back?
No, as a party, we have not spoken to Peter Obi. But you recall also that in the run-up to 2023, the expectation was that the ticket of the PDP was going to go to the south. And somehow, for reasons of fairness, people thought that the Southeast, having not produced a candidate for a major political party like that, would definitely have fielded a Southeast candidate. And obviously, it was Peter Obi that ordinarily would have picked the ticket. So, in anger, in frustration, Peter Obi left the PDP. And so, in the run-up to 2027, I'm aware that certain individuals have been talking to Peter Obi, hey, come back home. This is what we are likely going to do. And if you come, you stand a chance of being a candidate.
What are the possibilities of Peter Obi returning to the PDP?
Also, you know, in politics, nothing is certain. I've always said that in politics, 2 + 2 is not 4.
Yeah.
And so, and these are matters of interest. And when it comes to existential interest from a community of persons within a geopolitical zone, it is possible.
But those who are talking to Peter Obi, how far with that conversation?
Well, the conversation is predicated on the belief by such individuals that if Peter Obi comes back and he is the most favored candidate, the most supported candidate, and becomes a candidate, the PDP will make an impact in the 2027 election.
So with Peter Obi, if he's on the ballot in the name of the PDP, there is almost an assurance for the PDP. Is that the feeling on the inside?
Of course, that's the feeling.
Are you part of the party talking to Peter Obi?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. But I can tell you for free that the PDP, like I told you before, is a big brand rooted in the Nigerian people. And so if, like now, that the ticket has been zoned to the south, there are several other persons that can also fly the flag of the party. So,
I mean, what about former President Goodluck Jonathan?
Former President Goodluck is also a credible candidate.
But what are the possibilities? We understand that talks are also ongoing.
Well, yeah, some persons are talking to the president, former president, to come and run, and it's a possibility.
But those who fear about constitutionalism, based on how many times he has been sworn into office and taking oath of office, and those who are warning your party that if you, if you thread on that part, it might be dangerous.
But there's nothing dangerous there. You recall that in 2015, when President Jonathan GCFR wanted to run, there were hues and cries all over the place about the constitutionality of his candidature. But eventually, it was settled even by the court that he was qualified to run, and that is why he ran.
But you know what the Supreme Court has said about that vacuum, which was, of course, it was circumstances around Goodluck Jonathan himself when Yar'Adua and the vacuum that was left in the death of the former president, Musa Yar'Adua, and when he left office, the circumstance and the vacuum in our constitution and what the constitution says about the oath of office and the preemption or the intentionality, the intention of the drafters of the constitution as to the chances of anyone that is taking an authority of office should not have taken more than the oath of office or have opportunity of serving for 4-year term for not more than 2 times. But if you calculate it, it will have been said that if Goodluck Jonathan is returned, he only spent 5 years in office. Goodluck Jonathan would have spent about 9 years, which is against the position of the Constitution that 4-year term of not more than 8 years.
And then you know that Goodluck Jonathan had never been president for 8 years.
But
and you will also want to recall that
twice
similar issues arose when John Linyame of Taraba and Abba of Yobe contested for governor, having served part of the period
of the former
governors of their respective states. And the court came clean that, yes, that definitely wouldn't count as one of the issues or one of the terms contemplated by the Constitution.
So that's what you imagine has happened in the case of the 1 year plus of former President Yar'Adua spent by Goodluck Jonathan.
Yeah, exactly. Because if that were not the case, Goodluck Jonathan wouldn't have been qualified, for instance, to contest for president.
Qualification is one thing.
Yes.
And serving in office will be another.
No. What I'm saying is that
won the election,
by the time
that may have been contested and jeopardized in the courts.
If it was contested, I have given you 2 examples of people who are similarly completed the terms of offices of their respective governors, and they came back, won election, and finished their own second terms.
So you don't think there's anything dangerous or risky about Goodluck Jonathan?
Not at all. Not at all, because I can tell you for sure here now that even at that, in the run-up to the 2015, Goodluck Jonathan was taken to court on account of this same argument that you are raising now, and the court ruled that no, he cannot be disqualified on the basis of that.
There is another gallant personality in your party who is a governor. And his name has come up severally. And he's governor of your station, Makinde. And there are those who say that's not a very good candidate if he emerges. What are you guys thinking in the PDP about such a personality?
Well, Seyi Makinde is the governor of your state. He's performed very creditably well. And so he wants to run for president. And like I said, he will not be the only person that will be running for president in 2027 if it comes to that. And so by the time Nigerians in the PDP gather and weigh the pros and cons of all the candidates, PDP members will be able to pick a candidate by their estimation that is capable of challenging the APC government. And so if it is Seyi Makinde, fine by us, then all of us will fight behind him. But I can assure you that there are more than 1 other or 2 persons that are in contention.
My guest yesterday says the decision of the NEC was unconstitutional and was done in error.
The constitution of NEC in what regard?
In the regard of zoning the presidential ticket of the party to the south. It was unconstitutional that the party or any organ of the party does not have the power to restrict or disallow anyone from exercising their constitutional right of being voted for or voting for anyone.
Yeah, they could be right, they could be wrong. Don't forget that in the very beginning of democracy in Nigeria, when the presidency was zoned to the south, candidates or aspirants from the north also contested. People like Rimi, for instance, of blessed memory, ran against the run of events of the party. So the zoning of positions to particular places does not preclude anybody from aspiring to contest the election. But it is important and instructive to note that once a party decides that this is the direction that we are going, anybody who comes to exercise a constitutional right has a right to come, but the decision of the party will be based on the decision that had earlier been taken by NEC.
And you don't think it's a preclusion?
It's not a preclusion. It's not a preclusion.
So because what the party has said that this ticket has been zoned, what you did in 2003 or 2022 was to say the party ticket has been thrown open. But this time around you say, what you have said invariably is that Abba Moro might be the best candidate to be Nigeria's next president, but because he's a northern Nigerian, he cannot run on the platform of the PDP. That is the decision of the NEC yesterday.
No.
And my guess yesterday was it's an error.
I can tell you this. The person who said it was an error certainly is not abreast with the constitution of the party. The party regulates its functions and its systems, and so the PDP has entrenched in its constitution the principle of zoning. And to all intents and purposes, it was intended that fairness should come to play, that equity should come to play, and that justice should come to play. And so I am saying here, therefore, that the Constitution of Nigeria provides for a level playing ground for all persons aspiring to be whatever in the country to aspire. But the decision of the party is, look, now we are looking onto this place to pick our presidential candidate. It does not preclude any other person. I gave you an example of a beginning where the Rimis and the rest of them contested against Obasanjo. Eventually, Obasanjo won. And so it's not a preclusion in any manner at all. But a decision had to be taken. Don't forget that these same people that are criticizing the zoning that has been pronounced now were the same persons who were complaining about throwing the ticket of the PDP open in 2023.
So you think this is the best decision for the party?
At the moment, yes.
My guest yesterday criticized. He said all of you that decided on that are walking from answer to the question, because all of you are working for Bola Tinubu to become the next president of Nigeria, to be re-elected. That whatever decision you have made is a summary that election of 2027 is going to be won easily by Bola Tinubu and the APC.
Well, the taste of the pudding is in the eating of it. We'll look at it, we'll come to terms with it when 2027 comes. Because ordinarily, even by logic, if we learn from the mistake that I said was made in 2023, as at the time that Bola Tinubu, the president, Bola Tinubu, was picked as a candidate from the south, other candidates contested against him from the north. Did they win? They didn't win. And party politics and elections are about strategizing and winning elections.
All right. Give me a moment, but I'd like to know, there are those of you in NEC who have promised that you will punish Nyesom Wike, the FCT minister. I want to know how you're going to do that, but that's going to be after this break. Join us again, everyone. Thanks so much, everyone, for staying with us. Senator Abba Moro has been speaking with us on the program. He's a minority leader in the Senate. Of course, a major force leading a major caucus within the party at the national level. Senator, there are those who are not happy with the FCT minister in the PDP, and they are saying that his likes are going to be punished. How do you do that?
Well, let me say this without sounding like a broken record. All the hues and cries about discipline, discipline. They are unnecessary at this point in time. We are coming out of a disastrous election. 2023 certainly was the worst year for PDP as a political party when election results are concerned. And the choices before us is whether we should wield the big stick or go on the path of reconciliation. And it was decided that these two things can go pari passu with themselves. Try to reconcile as much as possible. Try also to discipline if you can. And in the run-out to 2023, a lot of things happened. A lot of things happened. People were genuinely aggrieved. Whether they carry the grievances too far is another thing altogether. And on this program, I had cause to reference the 2024 election in America. And very many prominent Republican Party members openly canvassed for votes for the Democratic Party candidate, Kamala Harris. And I asked this question: where was the cry, the hues and cries and the agitations for punishment for those persons in the Republican Party that work for the Democratic Party? You wouldn't hear anything like that. In Nigeria, it's anti-party, discipline, and the rest of them. And our people have the same. You make a fire, a bonfire, you say one stick of the fire, bonfire, is making smokes, you remove it. You remove the other one. You remove the other one. The smoke won't stop. You keep removing until you remove all the wood.
So punishing Wike is not a priority.
I mean, why is it always about Wike and the rest of them? Because we all know that obviously what Wike did, some other persons in the party did. We had a G5, for instance. The person who is going to run for president now in the party, Sheyi Makinde, was a member of the G5. Governor Autumn, who today is a board of trustee member from Benue State, was a member of the G5. Governor Ugwanyi, who was in the NEC meeting yesterday, was a member of the G5. Why is anybody not talking about all these other personalities and all of us that apparently somehow, one way or the other, didn't fall into the line of the party? Why is anybody not mentioning any other person? So I want to feel that the Wike saga is an unnecessary distraction that we can avoid if we have to forge a common front towards the 2027 election.
I have less than 60 seconds to close this program, Senator. But there is a problem. Funding might be a very great problem for your party. The usual suspect funding sources for your party, Delta, Rivers, Akwa Ibom, all of these parties have now been lost to the APC. How would you source for funding?
All of these parties, Sheyi, that you are talking about now, we're in PDP and we lost election.
So it doesn't matter.
Politics and elections are not necessarily all about money. There are other factors, other germane factors that are responsible for elections than the issue of money.
All right. Senator Alba Moro, Senate Minority Leader, it's always a pleasure having you join us on the program.
Thank you very much.
And I wish you and your party the very best.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
We're on a path to glory. I can tell you this. People call me from all over the place, congratulating me for the success of the NEC meeting yesterday.
So your party is rising from the grave?
Yeah, sure. Because I told you here before that
resurrection power.
That if the party dies, I'll be the coffin that will convey it. But we're all alive here now.
Senator, thank you so much. That's our show for tonight. Many thanks for watching. I'm sure Kimale. God bless Nigeria.